and I remember that day, the main thing I was thinking was, how do you become the first female captain in Lebanon? I'm assuming when you're a child, you don't think about doing that.
How do or how did?
How did, essentially, yeah. When you were a kid, is that something you wanted to be, or
never.
Is it never?
Like I was, in Lebanon 25 years back, or even more. Like I've been flying for 25 years. So if we go back when I was a little kid, let's say 35 years back, we were not, at school, we were not like oriented into what field we would like to study. It's whatever you get good grades at, it's that field that you're going to go into college or into university. If you're good with math and physics, you're going to go into engineering. If you're good with biology, you're going to be a doctor. There were these specific jobs or whatever, like university degrees, which students are typically going to study.
Very educational.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially in Lebanon. And I used to live in a small village in Lebanon. So, I wasn't exposed in Douer. It's called Douer. It's next to Nabatieh. So, I wasn't exposed to aviation, to anything that had to do with pilots or whatever. Yeah. So, as a little child, I was an A student. And I was very good with mathematics and physics and sciences, I wasn't that good when it came to languages. I don't know, I was fine. So definitely, my plan was to go into engineering. When I applied to AUB, that was a huge leap for me. Like coming from a small village, from a very small school, and deciding to go to AUB, it in itself was a huge leap.
You're going to the city, going all the way from the village to like Beirut.
And living in the dorms, like it was really, wow, something. Because my parents, initially, they thought I will go to a university, the Lebanese university in Nabatieh. So when I applied to the American University of Beirut, for them, like as I told you, it was like, what are you doing? But then I got accepted, and I applied for civil engineering, electrical engineering, architect, and business. Yeah. And I got accepted for all these choices. So I started initially as an architect student, and 2 weeks later, I found out that I don't like architecture. It's not me. Like I can't draw. I'm like, when it comes to imagination and to picturing things how they're going to be, I failed. So like 2 weeks later, I dropped and I moved into business. And again, I found out that I don't like business. So the next semester, I transferred to mathematics, and that's what I studied actually. So I was studying mathematics at the AUB, and I finished my first year. I was an A student, as I told you, and actually I got the highest degree in all the arts and sciences departments in Lebanon for the first year. So anyway,
I can relate. I can very much relate.
Anyway, I did mathematics as well as an undergrad. Yeah.
During the second year, I was like, my plans were to be a math teacher, maybe to go for master's, PhD, to be a professor, but that was the ultimate aim for me. Until one day, a friend of mine, he just walked into the math department carrying a newspaper, a Nahar newspaper. And on the very first page, there was an ad which said that Middle East Airlines is recruiting pilots, and it said both males and females. Definitely it was in Arabic, but yeah, so... And he was like, look, what's happening in Lebanon. They're recruiting female pilots. And I was, wow, that's really nice. And he was like, he started to be sarcastic. And anytime there's a traffic on the roads, it definitely must be a woman. And if we buy a washing machine, for example, like it takes a woman at least 2 months to be able to know how to operate this thing. So you really think women can fly planes? And I told him, you know what? Let's both apply and see. Let's sit for the entrance exam and see. So, it started as a challenge, actually. We sat for the exam. We were like 2,000 applicants applied. The ones who made it for the written exam were around 600. And now, 25 years later, I'm flying planes and he's not. So
is he still in your life as a friend, or is he?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What type of questions would they ask you in the exam? Like, because you're going to like a pilot, like to become a pilot, but like you have no previous background. So like, what questions? How did you prepare for that exam?
Exactly. So normally, I always tell them, like, if somebody tells you I'm a doctor, you could imagine what he has studied.
Yeah.
If someone tells you I'm whatever, like you can always imagine, or you have always some background knowledge of whatever domain a person tells you that he's working at. When it comes to aviation, people very rarely knows what does a pilot study. So the entrance exam was mainly mathematics, physics, IQ, something called mechanical comprehension, and English.
Things that most of these things you excelled in already, so it was.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then after we passed the written exam, then there's the medical exam, which is a full day where they have to make sure that we do not have one single flaw in our biology, in our bodies, like eyesight, hearing, heart, pressure, everything is tested. And then afterwards, there's something called eye-hand coordination. And this test normally, it's like playing a computer game. So what they want to see is, if you see something, they want to see if your hand reacts properly. For example, if you see a plane coming towards you, they want to know if your hand would react to turn left or right, depending on where
how
the plane
quickly
is.
as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is actually the what is it like? No, it's the
The
test,
basis point.
yeah, which decides if you're going to make it one day or not. So that was it. And there's an interview. And
Akid, your reactions were fast, man. Driving in Lebanon and everything. You don't have fast
exactly.
reactions.
But you know what? I started flying planes 2 years before I drove a car.
Really?
Wow.
I don't have a
Damn.
driver's license when I started.
Did you find
flying.
it to be super easy, or were you like, no, this is actually way scarier than flying?
It is scary.
It
yeah?
is
But
because
it is
it's, way,
easy.
it's way more
Exactly.
hectic, and I feel
Yeah.
like there are cars, especially in Lebanon, cars are coming left, right, and
And you
center.
can't
at
control. You can't control when you're
And-
flying a plane. I'm sure you
and
can
like
control.
legally in Lebanon, like legally you'd be like, this is a one-way road.
Legally is a very
Yeah,
loose
that's a
term.
very loose term.
But here you never know like what to like. Every single road is a two-way road, and you'll always have somebody pop
Man,
up.
here's the only country where you need to look up in the sky. Like, even though it makes no sense, just in case, look up in the sky.
The funniest are the little like motorcycle, the Tostaisi guys that pop out of nowhere. These guys.
I
Are
would
so-
stick to flying, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when you're going ahead and going full throttle and pursuing this, are your parents still a bit apprehensive, or are they enjoying what you're achieving? Or
Like before, when I first wanted to be a pilot, my parents were against it 100%. Like after all, I come from a conservative family.
Yeah.
And for them, just as I told you, going to AUB was like
was a big step.
a
Yeah.
big step for them. Like to leave Lebanon and go live abroad and study abroad, and then like to lead a life where every day I might be in a different hotel or in a different country. Like for my dad, he was worried, who would marry a girl who's like every night is leaving in a different
Yeah.
place. So they were against 100%. And they said no, like a big no. So I tried to convince them. I cried, I begged, I bribed. I did every single act like a child would try to do with his parents, with her parents. But then eventually he said no. So what I did is I went back to AUB. I dropped all my courses, and I took my stuff. I took a taxi, and I went back to my village. And I told my dad, "You have two options. You either find me a husband, or you send me to be a pilot. It's your choice. It's your call." So he had no choice because the husband was not waiting. So that's how it happened.
So had to be a pilot.
Did he look for a husband though?
Oh
Did he
my
spend some
God.
time looking?
Put an ad
Please
in-
don't tell me yes, and then I can't tell you yes, and he couldn't find. Like it's too.
I can imagine like a dad putting an advertisement in a newspaper, like
Husband
husband
Not
wanted.
even because like they're in like at the time they're in a village, so like he just goes put some flyers around the village.
No, different times back
Different
then.
times,
and
man,
and when
different
you, so after AUB, you went to Scotland,
Yes,
right?
exactly. I went to Scotland.
And I remember you saying something along the lines of, I think you were the only female in your course and studying in
yes,
Scotland.
when we went to Scotland, like I told you, 2,000 applicants, 600 or 800 went to the written exam, and then the ones who passed were 9 only 9 Lebanese pilots. So we went to Scotland, and yes, I was the only female among the 9. But there was another girl in the flying school. She was from Malawi. So we were 2 girls and around like 800 male pilots
Jesus,
studying
I'm
at that
sorry
school.
for your, I'm sorry for the pain.
It
you-
was really, like initially it was very difficult. Like when I would walk into the cafeteria, you'd have like 800 people looking at you. Maybe they were not looking, but
Yeah.
like
It's just like
subconsciously I would feel
Yes,
like, oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
So I had to change my lifestyle. I had to cut my hair really short, to put away my skirts, my makeup, my dresses, and like to behave like as if I'm one of them.
Yeah.
That's how I
You
was.
felt like you
That's
needed
it.
to adapt to
Exactly. Otherwise, like
It's
maybe,
tough, man.
like as I'm telling you, maybe they saw me as a girl or as a, like they didn't see me based on my gender, but deep inside I had that sensation. So
Did you ever feel though, like while you were there in Scotland, that because you were a girl, and I think at the time as well, it wasn't very common, not just in the Middle East, but internationally, to have a female pilot. Do you think people, or did you ever experience people making fun of you or belittling you because
No, not belittling, but like to say that they used to joke about the issue. For example, once I was one of the instructors. He was telling me, "Do you have a pen?" And I was looking in my suitcase, like in my case, whatever, in my bag, to find the pen. And then he said, "You know what? One day when Rola is looking for a pen, she's going to to grab a lipstick and instead of like it was this."
Yeah, the basic
Yeah.
jokes.
Typical
Yeah.
douche, basically.
Yeah. So yes, I heard a lot of comments.
Did that inspire you? Did that like motivate you to prove them wrong?
At times, it didn't inspire me, but it didn't put me down.
Yeah.
Like I always initially, like I started flying, I was 19 years old. So my very first flight with passengers on board, I was 19 years old. So like I wasn't that experienced and mature. So honestly, like when I used to hear people saying, "Oh, she's a woman, I don't want to board the plane," I used to take it personal, and I felt sad. I know, why can't you trust me? Like, why? I've done everything everybody else has done.
I'm in this situation right now.
Yeah, but then eventually I had to detach myself. Like you have to look objectively at the picture. Like they're not saying this because it's Rola Hoteit sitting in this seat. They're saying this because of the background and the culture we come from. And any girl would be taking my seat and they would say the same thing. So once you stop looking at it in a subjective way, you'll be able to accept the comments and to smile and to move on.
Fair enough.
Do you feel like that's changed though? This whole rhetoric of, oh, there's a woman flying, I'm not going to enter the plane if my captain is a woman. Because even globally, what you're saying, there was this issue. Even in America and the UK, women pilots would be discriminated against because they were, according to people, not qualified to do it. So has that changed? Has it gotten better?
It has changed a lot, but we still have some cases. Like I told you, 2 days back, yesterday, I was in Istanbul and I had a passenger and she was screaming, like literally screaming. She was sitting in the business class and you could hear her voice in the back seats. And she was like, "Oh, the captain is a female." It was like after we closed doors and after takeoff. And she was, "Why didn't you tell me? I wouldn't have boarded." And her friend was sitting beside her and she was grabbing her hand and telling her, I don't have to say names. Like she was saying, "It's a female flying the plane. Let me down. I want to go down now. Offload me now." And she was like really screaming the whole time. And then the cabin crew, they came to her and they said, "No, you can't. You can't be. Like, no, you can't say this."
What's wrong with you?
No, and we're on the plane. If we don't trust her, we wouldn't have been on the plane. She is like as good as any other male captain. Like she's done the same training like everybody else. But she kept on screaming until after landing, and then she came to me, and she said, "Captain, I'm really sorry. I would like to apologize, but it's my first time with a female captain." So until today, you still find people who would react like as if they're still living.
But that's so weird. Like why?
50
Why
years
would they react like that? Because you think people now have more exposure because of the internet and people would be smarter. Like it's just. If you don't mind me asking, was she younger or older, like age-wise?
No, she was younger.
She was younger.
Yeah.
Wow, that's surprising.
I would have just been tempted to lash out at her.
No.
Be like, even though you have to be professional,
my
I'd be like,
plane.
"Listen, get the F out of here. You need to go." But no, going back to what you're saying, this is not an issue that's going to be solved overhand. I think it's already
progressed.
It is much better than before.
light years of what it was, and you'd know probably better than we do. But that's something, especially in our society, it's going to take time to get there.
But the problem is they were more worried, like, in Lebanon, the typical lifestyle is, let's say it's 25 years back. So the typical lifestyle 25 years back was for a girl to study, maybe go to college, maybe not, depends if she finds a husband. But the right thing to do is to get married and have kids. So this is how every woman, how parents, they picture their girls or their girls' lives. So for my dad, he was really worried that what if my daughter doesn't get married? Like, who will look after her? For them, like, if she's a girl, she has to have a male figure who's going to look after her. And actually, I got married very early. Like I told you, I started flying at the age of 19. I got married at the age of 19 as well.
Okay.
So what worried him, like I sorted it out from the beginning.
So then,
Like, don't worry that, I got you.
I could do
I got
both.
someone. So I guess that relieved them that I got married and I went back to AUB. I finished my BS in mathematics. So I had to do several things.
oh, you finished your undergrad as well.
And I have
So
a
you did
master's
all
in
the
philosophy
things-
as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you did all the things that makes Lebanese parents a bit more
Exactly. So
comfortable.
if he wants, like, you want me to have a husband, I have a husband. You want me to have a job, I have a job. I know it's an unstable job, but it's fine. I was
have a
able to
job,
raise a
yeah,
family as
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
And I went back to university and I got you the degree that you wanted me to have. So that made them feel relieved and proud as well.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I was
that's-
able
that's
to
great.
do all.
And now is it still a bit contentious, or it's completely like we're proud of what you're doing?
no.
Okay.
It's over now.
No, especially because they see you doing things like, I remember the first time I heard about you was the 2019 flight to MEA, and there was this whole hashtag because
The one to London?
to London to
Yeah.
Heathrow, and the conditions were awful, and it looked like the type of wind that could move like a truck out, you know what I mean,
Really?
like that strength. And I remember this was doing the rounds on social media that there was a captain who like expertly landed and everything, and that's actually how I first
Yeah.
heard about you.
Oh.
So I'm saying as a parent or anything, that must be like, wow.
Yeah.
Did you do the thing where you have to land sideways?
Yeah, exactly. You haven't seen the video?
Dude,
That
you need
was
to
No,
see the
you have to
video.
see it. You have
The
to.
video
You have
get
to
like
see it.
your hands sweat when you watch the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was-
Or maybe
Like
have-
we
I
were
have seen
landing,
it. Yeah.
the plane just ahead of us, they couldn't land. The one
Oh.
behind us couldn't land after us. Like no one was able to land. And no, it's not because I'm better than others.
But
okay?
you
No,
Just-
but you are.
No.
Very humble.
No, really. But sometimes it depends on several things. One of those is the type of the aircraft.
Okay.
Our plane was an Airbus 330, which is a bit bigger than the Airbus 320 that was in front of us and the Boeing 737 that was behind us. So when a plane is bigger, it can take more wind.
Fair.
And you know, wind is a variable. Like it's not always blowing. Suddenly it blows more, and suddenly, but still, it was one of the toughest landing I have done. And throughout the whole approach, I was telling the co-pilot, you know what? I might go around at any second. To go around is not, you know, not to land.
Yeah.
Just any minute, open power and just go up.
Yeah.
And believe me, at one point the wing dropped. I don't know. I'll show you the video. The wing like really dropped. And when the wing drops, the problem is the wings of the plane are really big, and the engine is under the wing. So if the wing dropped and we're close to the ground, the engine could hit the ground. The ground.
Jesus.
And the wings are filled with fuel.
Yeah. Boom.
So exactly.
Yes.
So at one point the wing just dropped, like really dropped low. And I told, the name of the co-pilot was Mazen, and I told him, you know, Mazen, I think we have to go around. And then like I was able to control it, and I told him, I'm going to continue, but at any second be ready, I'm going around. And then eventually we landed.
Were you freaking out though? Were you or
not
was it,
freaking.
were you
I was
calm?
like, definitely the adrenaline level was at
okay.
the
All
peak
time.
that it could get to.
yeah.
And when we landed, normally, like I've heard passengers, they would clap in Lebanon, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have
They would
that,
clap
yeah.
for everything.
When we landed, the co-pilot was clapping, and I was like, "Come
Alhamdulillah, we
on,
got
it's not
there.
your first landing. No, you can't do that."
Was that the scariest experience you've had? Because Anna, I don't like flying, so I can
No,
imagine.
it's not the scariest, but it was rough. It wasn't easy.
Do you like, is there any experience in your head that's like, oof, when you go back and you think about it, like,
Normally, a pilot in his career, or in her career, let's stick to her, in her career, would face three kinds of problems: the technical ones, the weather, and humanitarian issues. The technicals we are trained for, because every 6 months we have to sit for exams from the beginning. Like when a doctor graduates, he takes his degree, and he's a doctor. That's it. For pilots, it's not like that. For pilots, we get a license, and it's only valid for 6 months. And every 6 months, we have to sit for exams all over again. Written exams, a flight simulator, a flight with an instructor who comes on board, a medical test. Like, we do all sorts of exams every 6 months. So almost like within 10 years, you cover every single technical fault you would get. So for the technical issues, we are trained. And once you are trained, you feel very confident. Like, really, if you throw someone in the sea and he doesn't know how to swim, even if you tell him how to swim, he would drown. If you throw someone who really knows how to swim, and no matter how hard the waves are and how high they are, he will be able maybe to manage and get out because of the confidence. So we are trained for technical issues. Also for weather, with the experience we get, eventually we get trained for that. Now, when it comes to humanitarian issues, that's where no training would be enough.
what do you mean by
So,
humanitarian?
For example, I'll give you an example. And this, I believe this is one of the very difficult flights I had. Once I was flying to London again. Oh my God, I have to stop flying to London again.
It's always the
signs are
London
there,
flights.
yeah.
the
No,
London
yeah, I
flights
just
always
realized.
give you a lot of challenges.
So I was flying to London, and then the cabin crew, she walked into the cockpit and she said, "Captain, we have a sick passenger on board, and she's very sick." Like, even when we boarded, They had to bring extra oxygen bottles for that lady because she was traveling and she had some medical issues. So we knew that we had a sick passenger. But apparently her condition was getting worse and worse. So I told her, you know what? Try to find if there's a doctor, to see if there's a doctor on board. So there was a doctor on board. And I asked the doctor, please, can you check that lady? He came back to me and he said, she's feeling really, like she's not good. I don't think you will be able to get to London. Her condition is very bad.
So there's a chance that she might pass away on
Exactly.
the flight.
So I said, I asked the doctor, I said, so you think we should land en route, right? He said, I think so. Like, she can't survive for like 2 more hours. And then I told him, okay, just go tell her, stay beside her and tell her, and we're going to land en route.
Calm her down.
He went back, and then the cabin crew came back to me. Meanwhile, I declared emergency. I said, we have a sick passenger, we would like to divert, and we were planning to land in Frankfurt by that time. So then the cabin crew came to me and she said, Captain, this lady, she wants to talk to you. And I told her, just tell her we're going to be on ground within like 20 minutes. And she said, no, she's insisting. She wants to talk to you. So I went back to her seat and I saw a very thin lady. She was like all blue, as if she's suffocating. And I told her, when I saw her, I said, don't worry. You know what? In 20 minutes, you will be on ground, an ambulance will be waiting and we'll take you to the hospital. Don't worry. And she said, no, please continue. And I was like, why do you want me? Like, we cannot continue. Like, my duty is to make sure that everybody gets to the destination, wherever, like to get on ground, at least alive. So I told her, no, we can't continue. She said, please, I know that I'm dying. I have my kids in London, and I would love to see my kids in case I die. In case I'm dying, I want to see them before I die. So please give me the chance to see my kids before I die. And by law, we cannot. Like, if she dies, I will be sued. So I told her, but like, I can't do that. We have to land. Like, according to the doctor, you cannot last for 2 hours. She said, please, just give me the chance. Just give me one chance to see my children before I die.
This is such a tough situation. That
Exactly. Like, I looked at her and I was, oh my God. Like, if I get to London and she's dead, I'm really like, I will be in a very bad situation.
You're accountable.
You're accountable.
No, it's my, exactly.
It's your duty
my
to make sure that she
responsibility,
stays safe.
And like, if I land en route and she dies before seeing her kids, like, I will feel always guilty. So I thought, like, I'm a mother. And honestly, if I were in her place, I would do the same. So I told her, you know what? Okay, we're not going to land in Frankfurt. We're continuing to London. But I knew that my career was like at risk. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went back to the cockpit. I told the co-pilot, cancel emergency. We're going to continue to London. And we continued to London. She arrived. She was still alive. When we landed, we stopped exactly after exiting the runway. The ambulance came. They took her down, and then we went back and parked.
Did you know what happened to
no,
her?
No.
No one wants to know.
At least I knew that she was fine when we landed.
That story just gave me so much goosebumps.
Exactly. So it's those moments which are really tough.
Yeah.
Because like, there's not black and white. There's not the right thing to do. No.
And
you might get lucky and you might,
It comes down to, as you said, like, what would you do if you were in that situation? And sometimes you just let emotion take over rationale.
It's good that you studied philosophy as well. That's like the ultimate dilemma. You know, the personal choice of, okay, well, I can relate to this, but then you have the structures behind you telling you not to do that. So if they ever want to make a movie, I think
by the way, that was exactly what I was thinking. Like, this scene, this whole situation can be made into a movie. But you also touched upon like your family and your kids, and you have kids. And, you know, being a pilot, I think one of the things that your father was very worried about was the hectic lifestyle. And how have you been able to balance that out by having like the perfect work to family relationship and having that perfect balance? Do you think it's affected that?
It's like, that was the hardest thing I have done throughout my whole life. Like, people sometimes tell me, we've been to, for example, my son would tell me, that course or that exam was difficult. And I would tell him always, nothing is as difficult as being able to bring you two both up, especially in Lebanon, where we had all this chaos. And to keep my job. So it was really tough. It was very hard. But there are few things in Lebanon which we really don't appreciate and we don't see. And one of them is the extended family and the friends you always have around. Like, in the West, they don't have this. You cannot just call your friend and tell her, please, can you pick my son from school? Or if anything, like, really, like,
100%.
Or to call your aunt, or to call anybody. Like, there's always someone you can depend on in Lebanon. And you can trust. Like in other countries, you cannot just
No,
call
I
somebody
agree
and
with
tell
you
them to go
100%.
pick my
Yeah,
son
no,
and
no,
let
no,
them
of
sleep
course
over.
not.
But
You'd
in
owe them a
Lebanon,
favor or something. Yeah,
exactly.
In
Yeah.
Lebanon, you could
In
do this.
Lebanon, you could do it, and and they will be happy to help. So that's what really helped me.
yeah.
The second thing is my husband. He really played a big part in this, a huge role.
He's a pilot as well, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
when I was
Really?
away, he was who was taking my role, and when he was away, I
You
was
would
doing
take-
his
okay,
job.
that's nice.
So, but still, at certain times, we
Both
would
be away.
both be away. And one of those times, I was in Brussels. I was in the hotel, and I was reading I was chatting on my phone, and then I had a pop-up on the phone saying, an explosion happened in Raushi area, and at the Duroy Hotel. My house is just across the Duroy Hotel. And like when I read it, my first reaction was, oh my God, like my kids, they're home, and their dad, he's flying.
Oh,
I was, like honestly, I was not able for like 3 to 5 minutes to dial the number. Like I couldn't, and every time I'd put the number, it would be the wrong number, and then I would try again.
and you're just so nervous.
And then eventually I was able to talk to them. And my younger son, he answered. And I said, are you safe? Are you okay? He said, Mom, the garbage truck passed by. And it's a very big garbage truck. Like for him, it was a garbage truck. Because normally at night when the garbage truck, they pass by to collect the garbage, they make loud noises. So he thought it was the garbage. He said, I was sitting on the couch and it was too loud. I don't know what happened. Suddenly I found myself on the floor.
That
And I
garbage
was
truck.
like, but you're fine. He said, yes. Your brother is fine. He said, yes. I said, okay, it was an explosion. Oh, really? Like, then he knew it was an explosion. For him, it was the garbage truck.
It's crazy. This is, and I've felt this a lot with guests we've had, and even talking. We laugh about things that are so crazy. Like
exactly.
That's Lebanon,
when you think, I know, but it's like you laugh as a coping mechanism as to. But I mean, as a mother, that must drive you crazy. That there
She's
was
better at that than we are because she's a mom. She has more things to worry about.
Of course.
Things are funnier now.
Yeah.
But to have your kids so close to something that could put
But this is what I'm telling you. Like bringing up 2 kids in Lebanon really is not
It's
easy.
not easy. I can imagine.
it's more difficult than
Yeah.
trying to pioneer, woman pilots in the industry.
We've also, though, like on the show, sometimes you've been a bit too critical about Lebanon, and something that I want to touch upon that you said was having that sense of extended friends and family, which, in my opinion, I agree with you 100%, is not found abroad. And I'll give the example, like for instance, in the UK, the sense of family does not really exist where, so once you move out of the house or once your parents get old, usually in the UK they put them in retirement homes, whereas over here you're always close. Like every
Exactly.
single Sunday you go out for family lunches or family dinners, and everybody's close to their cousins and to their grandmother or to their grandparents.
Yeah.
And that in Europe is not as common, even in the States, it's not as common as it is over here. Like sometimes kids could go. I remember when I told friends of mine from Europe that, do you see my grandparents every Sunday? I know all my cousins. What?
Yeah.
Wait, my grandparents are in a retirement home. I'm like, there's that sense of family and trust over here. That's different.
Yeah, because you're an asshole.
Because you put them there. No, and even from a monetary perspective, here you don't feel too uncomfortable asking your friend, I don't have any money, could you cover for me today, or pay for my lunch or something, I'll pay you back. They don't even want the money back. It's like, are you crazy? Come on, why would you even ask? Of course, I've been in this situation abroad and it's just not the case. There isn't that sense of community, and I'll look out for you, don't worry, of course you'd look out for me, and it's the same. There's none of that, and I think that's one of the nicest things about being here, because you're right, we are kind of critical.
Another nice example, I think both of us, even you yourself, Joe, can relate to it, is like when you first moved to London and like we went out with a few Europeans. In Lebanon, if you want to go out for a drink with your friends, sometimes you buy like a round of shots or a drink for your friend, and it's normal. I remember the first time I did that over there, everybody looked at me like, are you crazy? Are you crazy?
Who's this big spender?
They thought I was like, sometime one guy called me, are you a prince or something?
I guess I'm a Khaliji prince, buying you £1 shots. Exactly.
But yeah.
And the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on is, did you kind of know that you were going to become this figurehead, this spokesperson for women in the labor force, or did that just kind of happen by accident?
Honestly, when I started flying, I never, like people would ask me for interviews, not people, TV stations. It was TV by that time, or radio stations.
Not
and
podcasts.
I always, no podcasts. And I always declined. Like for me, this is my job. This is my career. I decided to do, like I decided to be a pilot, and I don't want to be, like, I don't want to boast about it. I don't want to talk about it. Like what for? But then 20 years after flying, and after being the only female pilot in Lebanon, I started to feel that I'm failing somewhere. Like if I tell you, a certain company hired a woman and they never hired anyone else and any other woman
After that,
her, then automatically you would
There's
think that
something
maybe
wrong.
she failed.
Yeah.
Like she didn't do her job properly. That's why they decided not to take women again. So I felt that there's a huge responsibility on me. Like I have to push more females into going into the aviation field or any other like male dominant field.
Mm-hmm.
So it was then, like after 20 years of flying, that I started to go for talk shows, go to schools. Initially, it started going to schools and universities. And I would go and address the girls. And they would like, every girl would say, like, not every, but many girls would say, oh, like we really can be pilots? So they were not exposed to the idea. And then I accepted to go on TV shows and then to go on many
other things.
Exactly.
Podcasts.
Yeah. And then I became famous, although the intention was not to be famous, honestly. Like really all what I wanted to do is to push girls into coming into the aviation field. And I succeeded. Because now we have 4 co-pilots.
Even what happened
exactly.
2 weeks ago, those...
Yeah. So, but indirectly, I became a public figure.
No, it's amazing because you're using your platform to actually, to create change. And I mean, even because you touched on this right now, the other day you were also in the news because it was the first time it was an all-female crew flying a plane. Am I in the Middle East?
I guess so.
Yeah,
in the Middle
that
East.
went
Like
viral, not just in Middle Eastern news stations, but like internationally. You were saying that you got approached by CNN, Russian media.
States and by channels in the States, Canada, Russia, like Germany. I was like, no, really? Is it that weird?
How did it happen though? Like, how did because I remember you said something. It was all coincidental.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to happen.
No. Like I was coming for the flight. It was a flight to Cairo. It was on a Tuesday. And they called me on Sunday and they told me, would you do a flight to Cairo today? I said, okay, I'll do the flight today on Sunday, provided you remove my flight on Tuesday. And they said, we'll talk about that later. I said, no. I'm doing you a favor. I'm flying on a Sunday afternoon. So I'll do the Cairo flight, but you have to remove that one on Tuesday. So I flew the flight to Cairo on Sunday. And then on Monday, I called the operations and I told them, what happened? Did you remove my flight on Tuesday? And they said, no, you're still on. And I said, please, I need a day off. And they said, but it's an Airbus 330. We cannot just take you off from the flight because we don't have too many Airbus 330 captains. No, it was 320. I'm sorry. On Sunday, I did a 330 flight. On Tuesday, on Sunday, they said it's a 330, so we really need you badly. Yeah. Okay. So on Tuesday, I called them. I said, please. They said, no, please, you're going to stay on the flight. So I went, but I really was like, no, I did one just 2 days back.
Not in the mood.
So anyway, I reached the dispatch. Dispatch is where we get our file and we get briefed about the flight. And I saw Angela standing there, and I told her, "Oh, we're flying together." She said, "Yes." I said, "Yes, we can have girls talk in the cockpit today." And then we went to the briefing to brief the cabin crew, and I looked and I said, "Where are the boys?" And they said, "There are no boys." I said, "No, come on, really? Where are the male cabin crew?" They said, "We don't have any." I said, "We're all females?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, we have to take a picture today." It's a flight to remember. It was a flight to remember for me from a personal point of view. So we took some pictures and I posted that picture. And I said, it's the first time we have a full female crew on board. And we didn't tell the passengers, just to let you know. So they wouldn't
don't
panic.
have any other Turkey situations.
And then that picture went really viral. But some of the comments which I got is it really an achievement? One of the guys commented, do you really consider this an achievement? And I told him, maybe no, it's not an achievement. Maybe other countries have done it before, or maybe we could have done it before. But it's the first time. And you know what? Everything when it's for the first time, it has
it's a step.
It has a taste and a joy in it.
Charm,
I'll personally say it is an achievement because whether it's in the Middle East or Lebanon, this is a region that is really male dominated in general. Up until this point in time, it's not as liberal as the West when it comes to women just being independent. And you saw the stigma behind a female pilot. Even recently, when you go on a flight, people start to get worried and shout. So yeah, that is a step.
Whether it's an achievement or not, it happened for the first time, and it happened by accident, which is cool.
Exactly.
It's so cool. It's a nice story.
I think the aftermath is the achievement. I think maybe the coincidence happening is in itself not such a crazy metric or anything, but the amount of media coverage that it's getting, you might not see it, we might not see it, but there might be a few girls saying, "Oh shit, cool!" And look,
the awareness it's creating.
The awareness is creating. The aviation industry is changing. It's not that male dominated. It's not that male centric. Maybe I can. Do you have young girls reaching out to you saying,
Yes, I have many.
Yeah, that's look up
what
to
type
you.
of stuff do they say to you?
No, they always they ask me many questions, and the most common question is, how are you able to coordinate between your family and your work lifestyle?
Yeah.
So yes, I have many of those. But the thing is, because of this, the huge reaction this picture took, like what I could conclude is that the community is ready for the change. Like people really like the idea and they were sharing it. So it means people are ready and they want more females. I'm sorry that you're all three males. But
No, actually, like
Females
you're
to take a
balancing it
job.
out right for us, because like we're three dudes.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that.
Think
But-
about that.
No.
After-
I'm gonna cover some females.
After all your achievements though, and you've really set the bar high, and you've really like been a pioneer when it comes to female pilots, maybe not just in Lebanon, the region. Do you think like over here, or like you've been properly valued for your contribution in the field, like in general?
That's a question, Tariq.
that's philosophy.
That's a
Yeah.
way.
But you said you did a
Master,
master's.
You're
What
prepared
is
for
being
it.
valued? What does it signify? Like it depends really. Like being valued, it depends by who. If it's by the young generations, yes, definitely I am. Like when I have young people coming out to me and asking me, how can we do this or that? Or even parents of those girls asking me, you are my girl's idol and we really would like to meet you, and my daughter would like to meet you, and you know, you can give her some advice. Like I guess this is really an excellent mission. It's like a reward for me, really.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to say like if I'm valued by the government, no.
How about
طز عليهم. طز عليهم.
I don't think any of us are valued by the government.
how about
Just,
in the workplace though? Like
And the workplace, it's a bit sensitive because in addition to being a pilot, I'm the regional president for something called International Federation of Airline Pilots Associations.
yeah.
So normally, when you work for a union or association, the management wouldn't like you too much.
Okay.
But among my colleagues, yes, I am valued. My colleagues, they really like me. The employees in MEA, they all like me. But when it comes to management, as I'm telling you, when you work with the unions,
Especially if you have a significant role in that.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
because you scare them at the word union. The word union, I think, scares a lot of companies.
And then they're afraid that you might like that title in the union might make you feel more self-righteous and
but will make me ask for more rights.
More rights,
When you
yeah,
ask for
yeah,
more
that's
rights,
it.
like you're threatening the
Yeah.
management at times.
You want us to pay you more? I mean, that's the case with unions. There were huge issues in America with the rise of unions. I remember reading about that. Although I have no knowledge to give you guys. I just wanted to sound smart.
I have one thing about unions in America, bro.
Tell
Like the
me.
musicians union, for example. All right, when they record this part, for a movie or whatever, they have, let's say, the 3-hour recording session. 3 hour and 1 second passed. If they're in the middle of a take, doesn't matter. Yeah, clap.
Done.
They double the instruments. Yeah, lunch break.
Mm.
And you can't tell them no. You can't tell them no. They
no,
won't.
because
They're
those
no,
are the rules.
These are the
rules.
stuff. The union. Take it up with the union.
Yeah, take it up with the union.
That's the union story.
Thanks for having my back.
You're welcome.
I wasn't looking good there. Just another kind of side topic now with coronavirus and this kind of crazy world we find ourselves in. You were mentioning that you used to fly 18 times. Now you're flying 5 a month.
6.
Yeah. Was it 5, 6 a month? What short term and long term? What's going to be happening with the aviation industry? Do you think?
Definitely, the aviation industry is going to change. That's for sure. Because after because of this pandemic, before for example, we used to go to conferences. I guess this is going to stop.
Yeah, it's
Business
all virtual.
meetings, this is going to stop. Because now they found out that we can do all of this online.
Virtually, yeah.
Just like if you see like in the big cities, the price of or the rent of houses is just dropping because companies found out that they don't need all those employees to come to the offices. So
They're selling everything.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Makes more
so
sense.
people can live like they don't have to live in the city anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
So also with the aviation, it's the same. Business is going business flyer not businessman.
Business
Travel.
corporate,
Business travel.
Corporate travel.
is
Corporate
going to
travel,
drop. and for conferences. I guess even for schooling, like if you see university, everybody is going online. Like my son is in the States, but he's sitting in a dorm in his dorm.
We were like all blessed. We just graduated before that happened. I don't know if I like that though. Like going online, classes online.
And even if you want to go shopping, like the retail stores are closing. Like all these kinds of travel, people who travel for those reasons are going to to reduce. I guess we're going always to have tourism, but not for the time being. So for the next 2-3 years, it's going also to drop a lot.
If you think 2-3 years, tourism?
No, this is not a very short-term thing. It's going to take time.
It is going to take time, yeah.
Sure.
So, and for the next few years, not before 2024, the predictions are the aviation industry is going to like really go down. Then after 2024, hopefully, it's going to pick up. Now, the type of aircrafts is going to change as well. Like all the big aircrafts.
Probably be smaller.
They're all grounded, and airlines are going to utilize more the smaller planes because they're not going to have all those people on board. Also, the business class seats are going to be reduced because the people who used to travel for business and who would pay for the tickets and the companies who would pay to cover the cost, they're going to stop. So the aviation is going to change a lot.
I think smaller planes, I guess also less flights around the world.
Also less flights as well.
So more expensive.
Exactly. This is it. We're going to,
Is there even going to be distancing and stuff on planes? Or is
no,
okay.
Nothing.
It doesn't make much of a difference. I watch a video that apparently distancing.
You're in a pressure tank in the sky, bro. Like you can't escape coronavirus if it's there.
Literally.
You don't need to be aggressive with me. No, I know it's it's a bit scary because now everyone here is obsessed with traveling, obsessed with finding out new cultures and meeting new people. So I think hopefully it's not as long as 2024. I hope maybe 2022 or something. But it
will take some time.
It'll take some time to go
Some
back to normal.
might say the future is up in the sky.
I have no water here. God damn it!
I'm leaving. I apologize for that. I really apologize for that. On that note,
it was a great afternoon.
It was a pleasure having you. Continue to do what you're doing, inspiring young girls and young women. And
I'm sorry about Rayan.
And I'm sorry for
that.
We
apologize. He doesn't do this usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.